Today's episode is brought to you by the Vegas Beer Guys.
Everything sequel contains explicit language. And why the fudge not, you melon farmer?
Hello and welcome to the Everything Sequel Podcast. This is the Planet of the Apes edition. Today we are pitching sequels. My name is Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, your friend and mine, Pitchmaster himself, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Hello, Tom.
What do they think we are, gorillas? Telling you, ape racism or apeism.
Oh,
it's rampant in these movies.
Yeah. Good stuff.
You can call the gorilla anything. Unchecked.
Unchecked. Oh, shit. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, Tom and I are here to pitch a final movie to the Planet of the Apes series. Tom, you love this series.
I do.
And have since childhood. How excited were you to create a last movie for this series?
I love it so much, I think I was more intimidated than excited.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because, I don't want to clutter up this series with my nonsense.
You don't want to fuck it up?
Yes. But, I think what I ended up with was sort of just what I call going back to basics, which is actually to make everything more complicated. But
that does not surprise me in the least, my friend.
At least in terms of my history of pitching sequels, back to basics in very much putting everything into a blender. Once again.
So, an everything soup?
Kind of, but I think a pointed one. Again, in the spirit of this series, it's an everything soup with a purpose.
That was the big thing for me. I kept thinking to myself, all right, I got to keep thinking about the tone of the series. What can where do I go? What do I do? How nihilistic is it?
What can I not blow up?
Yeah, right.
But and that's the really interesting thing about these movies, and it helps me, walk a mile in the footsteps of the people who made them. It's like every time you come up with a sequel, it has to mean something.
Yeah.
Like it's not enough to make an entertaining adventure movie,
and not just the movie itself.
You have to do that too,
right?
But you also you have to come out of it, and people have to have learned something about themselves in the society they live in. I mean, that's pretty.
That's a tall order.
That's a very tall order, and I'm not saying that I have in any way achieved that, but that's definitely at the back of my mind. As is things like tone, and remediating the series, because it wouldn't be an ape sequel if it didn't have some kind of reflection on what had gone before.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of difficult avenues to explore.
Well, and not just that, because you have to give all of those considerations to the story itself, but also the title.
Yeah. Yeah, the title's a rough one. I mean, I for a while I was going with Return to the Planet of the Apes before I realized that title had already been taken by the animated TV series.
What were you going to do?
Return to the Planet of the Apes. Just because it covers a multitude of sins. You're always returning to the Planet of the Apes, no matter what you're doing. But the animated TV series, that's what that's called. So I can't use that.
That's amazing.
And that really is a sequel because it picks up post Brent.
Mm-hmm.
Amazingly.
Well, and so when it comes down to it, like, was it very difficult?
Yeah. again, I think in line with probably how these movies have made, once you figured out the tone and what you were trying to say, it gets a lot easier.
Mm.
Like, once you realize, like, what do I want people to think in watching this movie? It's like, oh, okay. It can all be related to that. Your story can kind of flow from that.
Okay.
Which makes it easier, but I think it makes it harder coming up with a story at all to go along those lines. I really don't know how they kept doing it for 4 movies.
Right. Well, not just
each
that,
of those
but
movies is totally different.
Each one's totally different, and each one. Well, is that true? Because I mean, each one build a sequel
apart from
convention?
the first half of Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, right.
Yes, that's it. The rest is all highly original stuff.
But I feel like almost each one builds a sequel convention that we still are dealing with to this day, yes?
At least one per movie.
Right. Fucking impressive.
Yeah. And I wanted to actually go back to something that you asked. I wanted to refine an answer I'd given before.
Mm-hmm.
You asked a really good question in our first or second episodes, which is how is this series as a whole regarded? Like, how are these sequels regarded?
Oh, you're right.
And I said, like, they're not really talked about as good sequels or influential sequels. And that's, I'll stick with most of that. But I'll qualify it a little bit by saying that if you're a hardcore sci-fi nerd, I think Beneath the Planet of the Apes is probably has been very influential too, because I completely blanked on the episode of Futurama where Fry goes into the sewers and there's an underground race of people who worship a nuclear bomb.
Oh my gosh.
As in Beneath the Planet of the Apes. And Fry says, "You worship a nuclear bomb?" And when the guy replies, says, "I'm not devout or anything." So, and there's an episode of Doctor Who from the 80s where they reenact the Queensborough Plaza discovery that that the planet they're on is a future Earth in ruins. So it's obvious, like something about that movie has had some influence if you're a little more if you're on the cult side of things, you're a bit more alternative. But something I found out just recently was that in 1974, after the series had ended and the TV series was cancelled, all 5 of the Apes movies were re-released into theaters simultaneously.
Oh,
and
really?
Along with it, a mass merchandising push of ape memorabilia under this umbrella slogan of 20th Century Fox wants you to go ape.
Wow.
Like every possible merchandise you could believe. So I think that also answers the question about why this series has lasted longer than most.
Mm-hmm.
Because they merchandised it really early on, and they re-released the series as a whole really early on. So probably people's experience of this movie is a lot like mine, which is you don't think about a particular movie. It just all blends into one kind of brand, really.
Right.
Which is, again, and I don't want to underline this, this foreshadowing too much, but we're talking about a merchandising push which will be, reproduced a few years later with Star Wars. And then in franchises going forward. And again, Planet of the Apes was the first series to do that. Predating even Star Wars, which is seen as the watermark, right?
Yeah, right.
Of merchandising around a movie franchise. No, they did it in 74.
With the McDonald's Happy Meals and whatnot.
Yeah, that's right. They did it in 74.
Wow.
With re-releasing all the movies and pushing literally all the merchandise you could possibly think of on people.
This fucking series, man.
I know! It did everything before it was all popular. So that's my own. So those are my only 2 big caveats. I think Beneath gets some currency, and the series as a whole has kind of seeped into popular culture because of the way it was marketed and released in merchandise.
Now, I can't remember because there was something you wanted to save for this conversation.
That's it. That was it.
In our last episode. Was that it?
That was it, yeah.
Okay. All right, friend. Well, should you? I think I'd like you to go first.
Okay, I will.
I'm chomping at the bit to know what Tom Stewart has done.
Yeah, this might be the first half of Beneath the Planet of the Apes disappointing. Just to put it in terms we'll both understand.
Never.
But no one else will. So the name of my sequel.
Yes.
No, don't anticipate it. The Best of Both Planet of the Apes. The Best of Both Planets of the Apes.
Wait, what? The best of?
The Best of Both Planets of the Apes.
Is it a variety show?
It is now. I think The Simpsons already got there, sadly.
Okay.
So
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
Exactly.
Dr.
So
Zayas.
we begin 1972.
Oh.
Earth. Actually, not Earth. Space. The space around Earth. And we're in the cockpit of the spaceship that we see from the original movie.
Okay.
And from behind, we see an astronaut who looks like Colonel Taylor having a last cigarette before injecting themselves with the sleep juice.
Right.
But we pan up to their face. It's not Colonel Taylor. It's Colonel Stewart. Colonel Stewart, of course, the female astronaut.
Right.
Who died in the original crash.
Yeah. Became, like, mummified.
Yeah. She stubs out a cigar. Gets into her pod. In the other pod, still Landon, still Dodge. But the other pod is occupied by Lieutenant Taylor.
All right.
We reenact the crash that starts the first Apes movie, crashing into the water in, the Fox Ranch.
Right.
Like the beginning of Escape from the Planet of the Apes, the ship is salvaged by human military.
You're starting to cut those carrots and potatoes for the soup. Let's go.
We get that sort of parade of Phil Silver's characters comes out to meet her.
Okay.
She's wearing her astronaut's helmet, so we still haven't seen her face. She's saluted. We said, we want to welcome you to the... They don't get to finish the sentence. They don't tell us where we are. She takes her helmet off. They look shocked that she's a human woman. She looks shocked that they're males in a hierarchical position. And a female orderly takes her off to get her to the hospital, check her out. And she says, "Hey, what's with these male generals? What is this, the year 4000? And the female orderly replies, "Actually, it's 3978, so, close, but no cigar." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, I brought my cigar." She's still got her cigar. That's important in a minute. I just wrote that. That's fine. And she says, "Oh,
does this whole story hinge on a cigar?"
At this point, yeah, as far as we know. And then Stewart says, "Oh, in my time, women ran things." And the female orderly said, "Yeah, now men are largely in charge." And she says, "God, I might have difficulty getting used to that." And the female orderly shakes her head, saying, "Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet." Just then, a squadron of gorillas on horses appears from over a sand dune. She's looking in the background, and she's lit her cigar that she brought from her time, and the orderly looks at her and she says, "Let me guess, no smoking either." And she throws away a cigar. The gorillas put her in a net, drag her off, chanting, "Kill the astronaut! Kill the astronaut! Kill the astronaut!" Roll credits.
Wow.
That's the cold open.
Cold open, baby.
So she's taken to a gorilla military barracks on the edge of Ape City, but she's immediately met by a group of female politicians known as the Zeras. And they take her out of custody, where she's being handled by the gorillas. And they're pretty angry that she's being treated this way. And we get the sense that they are the authority in the society and that the gorillas are simply soldiers. Soldier underlings. And the gorilla says, but what about the gorilla say so, but what about the prophecy? We know that when humans go to space, it means the end of the world. And he said, oh, that prophecy's been misread. Phantom Menace. Or, no, Attack of the Clones, actually. Even better. But she also says, oh, it's just bunkum. That's just, we don't believe in that sort of thing anymore. And Stewart is taken to Ape City, which is a advanced futuristic society. Flying cars, the whole shebang. And she learns that in 3978, society has developed so that ape society and human society have developed separately from each other. The apes have become, have mastered science, space travel, technologically advanced as you could imagine.
All right.
The humans, and they're a matriarchal society. Women are on top, females are on top, males on the bottom, and the gorillas are basically the hired muscle who live on the outskirts of Ape City. The humans have their own civilization, but they're barely out of the feudal stage because they've all developed separately, and they are a patriarchal society.
Okay.
So the Zeras are saying to Stewart that, your arrival could radicalize the human females into joining us in a mixed female society of humans and apes. And we could finally get rid of all these gorillas and these male apes, and we could just deliver. And we've been planning for years to secede from the gorillas, and we have a dome that we're going to erect around the city that will protect us from whatever damage to society the humans and the gorillas are going to do. So Stewart is sent to the human city, which is really, like villages, to find that female orderly that she first met and try and radicalize the women and bring them over to Ape City and seal them within the dome so they can, live out the rest of existence. A perfect biodome that they can live in a utopia. However, the gorillas have got an atom bomb.
That's great.
They've got the Omega. They've got the Omega device.
Well, do they have the Omega?
And yeah.
Okay.
From this so I don't know if it's ever stated, but at this point she'll let you know that Stewart comes from an alternate timeline where women were in charge of society in the 1970s.
There you go.
Because of the Hassline curve and the alternate timeline, there's now a gap between the two parallel universes. So she's passed into the Taylor timeline. And she says, they all know, the apes all know the history of Taylor. And she said, oh yeah, Taylor, he was on our flight. He was the most precious cargo we brought because...
But aren't they in the same year? Isn't it 3978 for Taylor too?
Right. So that Hassline curve kind of takes them into the future and a parallel universe.
Okay.
Because there's a hole where it all converged.
Gotcha.
And the apes have figured this out because they're technologically advanced. They understand such things. And they also know that there is a prophecy, a religious prophecy, that once humans go into space, the world will be destroyed. And, the gorillas still, and some of the lower apes still believe in that. But they've moved beyond that now. And anyway, Stuart is leading a entourage of human women who want to defect to the Ape City through the Forbidden Zone, which is between the two societies.
Not HBO's Entourage, I hope.
Hopefully not. No.
Okay.
Well, there's women in it for one who aren't
exactly.
sex objects. So there you go. And in doing that, they have to sneak through the gorilla barracks. And they see that they have the Omega device, and they're threatening to use it because they're cottoned onto the plan. They know what's going to happen. They know they're going to be left outside the dome. So Stuart's plan quickly changes to, let's fix this spaceship, get it back into space. I'll take you back into my time, and we'll work on warning people to one of the Zeras.
Yeah.
We'll work on... By the way, I'm thinking Cate Blanchett.
Nice.
For Stuart. Because let's go, we'll go back through the same hole that I came through. We'll go back down the Hassline curve, back into the 70s.
It'll all be fine.
It'll all be fine. And so as the movie goes on, that's what happens. They escape just as the gorillas, activate the bomb. They see the Earth blowing up as they leave. And They see the Earth blowing up as they leave. They get back into their own timeline. Like, phew, we just got away from that. So it's like one female ape and Stuart, one female human.
Yeah.
And there's like, okay, we're getting into Earth's trajectory. Wait a minute. There's nothing there. End of movie. So we presuppose that whatever's happened in 1972 has also blown up the Earth.
Fantastic.
So there we go. That is the best of both planets of the Apes. The Apes. That's a better title. The Apes.
Well played, sir. Well played. I, of course...
once you got time travel on the table, it really helps you come up with bullshit storytelling.
There you go. I, of course, went more traditional, as if you didn't know.
No.
I gotta tell you, though. I don't know. A week or so ago, I'm in the shower, and Lightning Bolt, the perfect title, comes to me.
Okay.
And I did not write it down.
And you forgot it?
And I forgot it.
Oh, no.
And I thought to myself, don't worry about it. It will come to you. Yeah. And it never did.
This is a tragedy worse than Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
So upset. I was like, was it like claiming the Planet of the Apes? No, that doesn't sound very good.
No, I'm gonna say no, it wasn't, because that's not a good title.
Vanishing from the Planet of the Apes? What the fuck was it? I never got it back. So
Expulsion from the Planet of the Apes?
No. But
Defection
you're on the right
from
track.
The Planet of the Apes.
You're on the right track with what I ended up with. I went with enslaving the Planet of the Apes. So,
not making grammatical sense so far, but
nope.
Let's go with it.
All right. We know that Taylor was there in 3978. We know that,
or 3955.
Or yeah. And we know that 2670 is the lawgiver time.
Yeah.
I am setting my movie in that time.
Oh, that's the obvious thing to do. Yeah.
All right. If there's one thing I can do, it's hit the obvious.
I just thought I'd create another alternate timeline.
There you go.
You know,
yeah.
just for fun.
A descendant of Caesar is in charge.
Is he called Caesar or Cornelius?
I know. I was like, I didn't know what to call him.
It's like Goodfellas, either Peter or Paul.
And so I never even like came up with a final name. I was like, do you do something different, but like Aldo, like but Milo, or like
yeah,
like,
let's go with Milo because Milo Caesar wasn't Milo for long, so that's
all
fine.
right. So Milo, and there is so basically you still kind of have some of the same problems. The humans and the apes are living together.
Yeah.
What Caesar wanted was the utopia.
Yeah.
And they had been going towards that or trying to get towards that for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But human nature is ape nature, and there's always going to be the gorillas who want something else, want something different. I have Kuro, who is more the warlike, which is black in Japanese, keeping the racist and bigoted themes of these series alive.
You're really Temple of Dooming this.
I know.
What do we need? More racism!
Yeah.
As time goes forward.
So Kuro wants to move beyond where they are right now. So think in terms of beneath and the mirroring, like let's push out, let's move beyond our borders, let's take over more. Let's truly make this a planet of the apes, not a village of the apes.
Yes, okay.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Milo is the crux for me for this movie is that Milo can see the machinations of his power being challenged. And he wants to be a benevolent leader, but he's not sure how to do that without seemingly being strong to all apes in the village.
Right.
Okay? Meanwhile, there are still humans, and there's one human who I just called Lisa. I have to tell you, the only reason I thought of it as like they call her Lisa, like they think of it as an old name.
Yes.
But I think one of the only reasons I put it in there is because of Krull.
You know what? I accept both reasons.
All right, fine. I just love in Krull when they talk about he's like, I can go find her, the spider lady, and because I know her real name, it's the most beautiful name, it's an old name, and blah 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 blah. And then when he's hanging on the spider web, he can only get the spider to stop killing him by saying Lisa, and I'm like, oh, that's the beautiful old. Okay, well, good on you, Krull. So
I love it.
Lisa is a person that is of high status within the ape culture. She's like the highest person. She even sits.
Oh, bit of a crossover there.
Yeah, so she even sits on, like the elder positions, and
right.
So you're going to see, her cast decisions, whenever something goes wrong, when they need a committee to decide any kind of punishment for whatever has happened.
You don't have to talk down to me. I know what an ape council is.
All right. at some point, you're going to see that she has casted a punishment against one of the gorillas.
Ooh.
But it is something that Milo also had agreed to, that Kuro had disagreed to, and the lawgiver is back.
Yeah.
And the lawgiver also disagreed.
Is he played by Danny or Jack Houston?
That's a good idea.
Right? I think if you did Danny, you wouldn't even be able to tell, or Angelica, for that matter.
Yeah, that's true.
You wouldn't be able to tell it wasn't John Huston under all that makeup, if it's one of his kids.
That's great. All right. But at any rate, it was a 2-2 vote, and she cast the deciding vote. All right?
Yeah.
The next thing you know, that she is walking cliffside with the lawgiver, and they're talking about their decision and the rationale for their decisions, and they're trying to understand each other better.
Yeah.
She turns away. He's very old at this point. And he actually, not accident, not a misunderstanding, he just has like a heart attack and he falls over the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
She has to go back and report that the lawgiver has died. And Kuro is saying, why should we believe you? Why should we trust you? And this is, where conflict comes up. Now, Kuro is saying, we need to enslave all humans, because if they can... The one thing we know about humans is that they can lie, they can cheat, they can steal. This is how this is our history. We need to get rid of the humans.
Yeah.
And then the crux for this movie is that Milo he feels like he has to end up agreeing, and he decrees from now on all humans are under the control of Ape. And then you have the whole second act is the chasing of rounding up all the humans that have fled through the village.
Wow.
It's going to end with them being captured and Lisa saying essentially they're going to be put to death or enslaved. She is going to be put to death because she's just too much of a rabble-rouser. We can't have her at all. And she's saying, she's pleading with Milo, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? This goes against everything I know for you to be. And he's apologetic and saying, I have to do this. I don't know of another way. And they finally have a moment alone where he admits this to her. And she says, this is going to be the death of you. And he says, how could you possibly know that? We're putting an end to humans. I don't know what you did. I'd like to think that you didn't kill the lawgiver. But the truth is I don't know. And I have to do this. And she's going to say something to the effect of, it'll be the end of you, just like it is for all tyrants. And so we get a bleak ending. But we also have connected to everything that happens after that we know where Taylor comes and then Beneath the Planet of the Apes. And that story actually, or that portion of it, that is how it ends.
So the alternate timeline turns back into the original timeline.
Correct.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know what they're going to do with the current crop of Star Trek movies. I presume they'll just reboot it again, but that's how in my head I always thought the last of those modern day Star Trek movies was gonna
end.
Pan out. There would be one event that was the same in both, and then it all becomes the same.
Yeah,
like sliding doors style.
Right, right.
That's great.
Well, thank you.
Except for the title.
I know. I know.
What was it? Bondage of the Planet of the Apes?
I don't know.
Oh. I like the idea of enslavement, but it needs another word. It needs another adjective.
Another adjective?
Yeah. But hey, that's where our listeners can come in.
Yep. You tell us, ladies and gentlemen, which sequel do you like best?
And also write in a better title for one of them. Or both.
I'm going to say for both. What are you talking about?
What's wrong with the best of the Planet of the Apes?
The best of both of the planet? I don't even know where yours starts and where's yours begins.
It's
Fuck, I wish I could remember the name of that title.
I'm planning to get paid by the word.
Clearly. All right.
Well, speaking of traditional, there's a couple of traditional pitches from you and me right there. That takes it right back. We've gone
back to the beginning.
We've gone full circle. We've time traveled back to Superman there with my everything soup versus a perfectly self-contained piece
story
of filmmaking.
Right. Oh, fuck. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you get to vote. Tell us. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Send us an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. We get no emails, Tom. I want some emails.
Okay, give us emails.
Give us emails, people.
Yeah.
We'll read you out on air.
This is we do some nerdy properties, so you can fact check us. You can
do anything you like. Tell us what we should watch next.
We got everything wrong about the Planet of the Apes, which I'm willing to hear.
I'm willing to hear, but able to dispute.
At some level, I know we got some stuff wrong. I just know it.
Me for sure. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm worried about a lot of what I've said.
All right. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, I am Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. We have a brand new series coming at you soon. Stay tuned. Say goodbye, Tom.
Lawgiver, who knows about the future? I love the way that girl says that line. That's
an excellent reading of an excellent reading.
And then she hits an ape.
Yeah. Pulls his hair, he pulls her hair, right?